What's good, y'all? Blacksmith here, and today we're here to talk about Hard Eyes. Yes, the new romantic slasher movie that's supposedly supposed to be the successor of movies like My Bloody Valentine. And just in time for Valentine's Day too. But even with all the positive reviews, was it worth the hype? Let's talk about it. Hard Eyes is about a masked maniac who wears a mask with hard eyes, who's going around and terrorizing and unaliving couples on Valentine's Day. And in this movie, Hard Eyes has been around for a few years now, so he's very well known amongst the public, so it's very easy to look out for him. And knowing that he only comes out on Valentine's Day, this movie's plot is centered around just that, one day, Valentine's Day. Now, let's get into these pros and cons. The first pro I want to talk about, the violence. Now, I'm not going to say too much about the violence, but I will say, if you think this movie is going to be some cheesy, romantic slasher movie, then when it comes to the violence, you're in for a surprise because this is anything but that. You get to see all the horrific details and the killings and slashings in this movie, so you can rest assured that they do not water anything down just because it has a romantic theme. The second and probably last pro I want to talk about would be the plot and its execution. Now, going into this movie, I kind of figured that I wouldn't really see anything that I haven't already seen yet in other romantic slasher movies like My Bloody Valentine. And I wasn't disappointed because I saw exactly what I thought I would see, but they did it in a very modern 2025 tasteful way. And they also made it look fantastic. The opening scene of this movie sets the tone perfectly, but we're also going to get into that when it comes to the cons. So as far as plot and story goes, they didn't reinvent the wheel, they just brought the wheel into the modern era, and they made it look good. Alright, let's get into some cons, and it might be a longer list than the pros, but we're going to start off with the writing. And by writing, I mean dialogue, because my lord, at most times in this movie, the dialogue was so cheesy and corny. And what made this even worse is that, you remember that intro I told you this movie had? Yeah, the dialogue for this movie set this movie up real quick to not only be a slasher, but also a comedy. So this movie was marketed as a horror slasher movie, but when I went into it, I was met with very cringy, comedic references and tones, and it just kind of killed the lore of this movie for me. Because as the movie progresses, you see that all the characters are obviously in their 20s and up, and some even look like they're in their 40s, but they talk like they're 15 years old. And this goes into my next con, the characters. After I got over the idea that this movie might be a comedy more than it is a slasher, I started to notice that all of the characters acted very immaturely. And not in a funny way either, because the situation is very serious and these are grown adults, not teenagers. And at times when there was seemingly nothing else going on, all of the characters started to flirt with each other. Like two characters could be getting chased by the slasher, and one of them, while hiding, is gonna turn to the other one and say, "Hey, you single, right?" It's like, come on, what is that? Now, that could be funny, but because I didn't go into this movie knowing that this was a comedy, because it wasn't marketed like that, it just ruined the whole thing for me. And also, it was executed poorly, and not only the writing, but in the directing as well. I was not expecting this movie to have comedic themes, nor did I want it to, because that's not what it was marketed to me as. Overall, I really didn't enjoy this movie. It could be enjoyable if you go into it knowing that it's a horror movie with a lot of comedic elements into it, but I didn't go into it with that, and I was really caught off guard by it and surprised in the worst way possible. So I'll summarize the movie like this. This movie is an adult version of a teen slasher movie that was made for Nick at Night. So is this movie great for couples for Valentine's Day? I mean, probably. It's good for people who don't necessarily like comedy or horror, but would like a good mixture of both. And is the character of Hard Eyes going to be seen as the next iconic movie serial killer? Hell no. But this movie is good for people who want to have a good movie to watch after a dinner date. Thanks for checking out my review. Let me know if you plan on seeing this movie. Let me know if you've already seen it and what you thought about it. Let me know what you thought about my review, and give this video a like and your boy a follow. I truly appreciate it. And until next time, peace.